Hey everybody, Paul here with ADV for me. Another day, another video. We are about to begin episode number 5, which is the removal of the head stem. We're going to dive into the bearings, the front of the bike here, just to check it out, make sure that everything looks good. In the same process, I'll be showing you how to remove the tank, and I'm actually thinking about doing the plugs too while I'm in here. Not sure yet. Maybe leave the comments below if you'd like to see a video of that. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click on the notification bell to be advised of new and upcoming videos. Let's get started. All right, so to get things started, we're going to remove all the panels on the bike, and I'm also going to be removing the fuel tank. So the side panels require a, what is Torx 30? Yeah, T30. There's 3 torque heads on the outside, and there's 3 tucked up on the inside. So we'll get into removing those now. Okay, once you have the 6 screws out, you can go ahead and just lift up from the bottom and forward a little bit, and this will just pop right up. Then just on the inside of the plate, you've got your release for your turn signal, so just pop that off. Okay, from there, we're gonna go ahead and remove the side panel. Now I'm just going to remove the seat. I'm sure many of you have seen the video on the seat hack here. So normally when you've got the 2-piece seats, you've got to use an Allen key to unscrew this in order to get the seat off. But if you just flip these 2 little hats right here, these steel posts, normally they're upside down, you have to screw them off. If you put them upside down, you're able to just do it kind of like a quick release. I'm sure everyone's seen that already, but just thought I'd share that. You're welcome. All right, so now that we have the this off here, we're going to remove this guy, and we're also going to remove the cover for the tank. I've already removed off my SW Motec tank ring, and for these guys here, we need a 5mm Allen. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack these free. And then you've got these 4 up here, which are slightly smaller. And they are what do we got here? 4mm. Take out the 5, pop on the 4. Now I'm just going to come around here, and then from this side over here, we've got this guy down here, just on the outside of the rad, which has got to pop off. Take this, there's a little fitting there, and then you've got a pop rivet right here, which I've replaced a couple of times. Let me just grab something here for that. I have replacements, so I'm just going to break this one off. All right, and then this should just come right out. And that right there, folks, is the plastic that everybody's like, where does this go? They find it on the floor under the bike. So this actually just sticks on right there. So I'm gonna set this aside. All right, so now that we have the panels off both sides of the bike, we're gonna go ahead and remove the top of the tank. And to do that, there is 2 plastic rivets here on the corners, which you need to pop up. Again, I've got a whole bunch of these. These aren't the original ones that came from the manufacturer, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop that one out. Come on. Thank you. So we'll do both sides. Okay. Now, you got to take your cap off. I find it easiest to put your hand here and just slide it up, and it'll just pop. Do that on both sides. And there you go, it's off. All right, so now We're going to remove this plate here so we can actually get the tank to come up. I'm just going to pop the cap back on. One, two, and then we also have the 5mm bolts down here on the bottom. You don't need to take this off the tank completely, but I always have. I don't know why. We'll take this. While I got you guys, I'm thinking about doing a wrap on my bike, and I'd love to get some feedback from those that have actually done it. I know that they're not all created equal, and if I'm going to spend the kind of money that some of these kits cost, I'd like to get something half decent. So if you could maybe share in the comments the company you went with, I'd greatly appreciate that. So this now comes off. I'll set this aside. And now the tank should be free to lift out. So if you just lift the bottom, you can just pull it back off the feet here and you're in. All right, so now that the tank is off of its perch, we can just lift this up and we can disconnect the power supply, undo the fuel supply. A little clip here that you have to just slide up, squeeze down. Now what I've gone and done is I've just pinched off this guy here, because again, my tank is actually full of fuel. So the bike looks so much different with the tank and the seat off, without question. So the reason why we took off the tank is so that we can obviously have more access to the areas that we need to get at, to take everything apart. So what I'm going to do now is begin the front fender removal, and we're going to actually slide out the forks. All right, so now we're just going to go ahead and remove the front fender, and the first thing we need to do is remove the lines. So I've just got a pick here, and I'm just going to go in and just pop open these clips, these clamps here that hold on the wires. Okay. That, and then up here, there's a little metal bracket that holds the lines, that maintains the lines up below the fork here. So I'm just going to switch this out for an 8mm socket, and we can get in there for that. One, two. And there's also a rubber plug in there that you can pop out, which has two little drain holes. So let me get the bracket off first here. You can pop this guy out here and pay attention. These guys here, they drain towards the radiator. Okay. Let's put these back up here so I don't lose them. All right, from there we're going to remove these four here, and then we're going to get rid of, I think that's it. Take off the caliper. Yeah, we'll do the fender now. So we'll take the 8mm, and we'll just back out. I don't think I need to take. Yeah, I'll take these guys here. Let me get the sides. So there's the fender. And there is another clip on the other side here, which we'll just take off quickly. Oh, you can take that down there like that. Let's hold them up now. Okay. Get that off of there. There we go. Now we should be able to fandangle that out of there. Okay, fender, check. Now we'll remove the Allen heads here. There we go. So So the forks are nicely exposed. I'm going to go ahead and pop off the front caliper. So 12 mil to take off the caliper. And then from here, we will take off this whole bracket right here that holds on the ABS sensor. And now this should just slide out carefully. There we go. And I'll put this back in here so I know where it goes. All right, so we have everything pretty much off. Now what we're going to go and do is we're going to remove the, we're going to loosen up the 4 bolts that hold on each of the fork tubes. Okay, so now that we've got off the fork guards and the fender and the brakes, I'm going to remove the fork tubes, and I don't know if it's necessary or not, but what I did is I just took some painter's tape and I just transferred a line where the triple clamp opens up, just so I know where they were originally when I put them back on the bike. We'll get into how to reset them once we do the reinstallation. Another thing that I've done too, and again, this is the first time I've done this, so I'm not even sure if this is really that necessary, but I've gone and measured how much I have exposed above the triple clamp. So I've got 10 millimeters of fork, including the top cap, exposed. So I'll likely get it back as close as possible when I reinstall everything. So we're gonna go ahead now and we will loosen off those. And I'm gonna use a ratchet rather than the impact gun on this. And I think those are 10 mil, perfect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and loosen this guy. All right, she's loose. Now let's see how hard it is to slide these out. Okay. Woo! One. Set that aside. Last thing I want to do is have that roll off the bench. The other side. Good. Do the rest by hand. Okay, that should be loose enough. Yep. That one came out a bit easier. Beautiful. So we'll give these a nice clean, obviously, before we put them back in, and we'll inspect the seals. I know my seals are okay. I haven't had any issues with any leaking. All right, beautiful. So forks are off. I just want to pause for a minute and just take it all in. I just think the bike looks so cool when it's all apart. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up front here and we're going to remove I'm going to get the bars up out of the way just so that I've got a little bit more room to work with. And what I'm going to do right now, I know already that there's no play in my stem, but I'm just going to check for it. I'm just going to hold the stem down here and grab the other handlebar, and I'm just going to try and lift it left to right and side to side, and there's no play at all. But this is just a good indicator too, to show you kind of the fit, how it feels when it's torqued to the specifications that the bike recommends. So, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and loosen off the top nuts here. This is what? This is a 6 mil? 6 mil? Yeah, I should have my glasses on. So I'm just gonna loosen these guys. I've taken a pencil and I've just marked on top of the bar clamps, the position of the bars, just so it's easier to get them back to where they were roughly. Okay. Keep those left and right. I'm just going to lift this up. And I have this accessory bar on here that I purchased on Amazon, and it holds my quad lock charger. I'm just going to rotate that up so I can get a bit more room there, closer to the bar there. Just go like this maybe. All right, so forks are off. I've released the handlebars from the clamps. I didn't really need to do that, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the bar risers off, and this is my contraption. So I'm going to go up underneath to get the 17 mil acorn nuts. I just found it to be a little awkward getting a wrench in there, so I'm going to go up and underneath to get to them. So you can see here, I'm just going to go all the way up. And there is a washer in there, which I got. Nut and washer. I'll do the other side. Okay, that was easy. Now we should be able to just lift those off. Yep. Oops, little washer there in the middle there. Grab that guy. I'll put those back on so I don't misplace them. All right, so now that that's out of the way, maybe I can just put a cloth here and zip tie this up and out of the way like that. I'm gonna do that, just give me a second here. Okay, so now we gotta get this off, and that's a 27 mil, and I have a 27 mil socket ready to rock and roll. Just need to get an adapter on here. And I will hold on to it just in case. Do I need more power? I need more power. More power! DeWalt. DeWalt. I'm not going to cut it today. That's better. All right, so same thing, gonna pull off this washer here. Okay, that's up, out of the way. And then there's another flanged washer on here. All right, so I'm just gonna grab my special tool. I was looking for this tool last evening and found it on Amazon, and it was delivered today. I'll put the link in the description, but this tool here works for pretty much all the Yamaha steering stems, so I can go ahead and use this to loosen it. This is overkill for loosening it. I can just use a punch to get it off, which I'll probably do, but for torquing it, I'm able to connect this to the my torque wrench to get the appropriate torque value. So I'm just gonna grab a screwdriver, a long-handled screwdriver here. Where's my big one? My big one. Where's my bigger? Haha. Let's grab a hammer. And I'm just going to loosen it off with the hammer. I should do it. And then there's going to be a rubber washer in between these two as well, which we'll pull up and out of the way. And then this one here, same thing. We're just going to loosen her off. Now, if you pay attention too, when you spin this, the cup spins with it. So, just something to make note of. Now I'm just going to hold on to the bottom here so it doesn't fall to the floor when I let her go. I'll screw this up and out of the way. Okay. Now we should be able to lift this cup and take a look inside. And she is, actually it's impressive. There's quite a bit of grease in there. Quite a bit. It's nice to see. A lot of people were complaining that they didn't put enough in there at the manufacturer. So there we go, boys, ladies and gentlemen. She's greasy. So I'm just going to clean this all up. And again, I'm not going to use any solvents in here, but I'm going to clean this all up and repack it. I'll clean out the mating surface and then we'll get her back together. All right, so I'm pretty happy to see that the stem was fully greased. There was actually more grease than I anticipated in there, which is great. So anyways, I've cleaned the bearings, I've cleaned the shaft, I've cleaned the mating surfaces inside, so everything is ready to go. There's no uneven wear, everything looks good, as it should. Again, the bike's got less than 13,000 kilometers on it, so I'm doing this more because, again, I think I mentioned in a previous video, I'm bored, right? And it's nice to go through the bike like this, get to know the bike a little bit more, and know that I can do it, and so can you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pack the grease into the bearing. I'm just gonna roll it, get quite a bit of it in here, and just work it into the bearings. Just gonna move it around so that it's actually making its way into the bearings as much as possible. I didn't use any solvents on it, so I just took cloth and just cleaned it out as best as I can. So yeah, you can soak these, I think, in kerosene if you wanted to do a full removal of the old lubricant. But again, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that this is actually still quite clean, and it was pretty well greased. So this is good. I'm just going to roll it around, get that grease packed into the rollers. A little bit more for good measure. I'll set that aside. I'll take a little bit and just grease the bottom of the cup underneath here. That's good. We'll do the top. Okay, now I'll do the bottom here. Good. Now let's put some on the shaft here, just for shits and giggles. Awesome. All right. Feels good. Feels real good. Put these back on. So this guy here has to be torqued to, I believe it's 75 foot-pounds, and then backed off and retorqued to 5.2 foot-pounds. And the reason for the initial torque is just to make sure that the bearings are seated properly in the cups. Just going to check the service manual here. 75 Newton meters, 55 foot-pounds, and then 5.2 foot-pounds. So this is where that awesome new tool that I've added to my arsenal comes into play. So we're going to need this, and we're going to need this, and my torque wrench, which is right here. So we're going to go ahead and set this to, what did I say, 55 foot-pounds. So 55. Bingo. Now, let's get this finger tight. Okay. It's the first time I've used this tool. This is awesome. Sweet. I'm just going to put this down here. Change that back to 55. There we go. So what they suggest you do is get it fully locked on right there. Okay, now I can put this guy in. I've seen people make these, but you know what? For the effort and the cost, it was only like $40 Canadian. It wasn't too bad, and I have it for life. There we go. And then 55 foot-pounds. Okay, that's good. All right, so now we have to loosen it back off. Just check it here. Yeah, it's tight. So now you have to loosen it off about 180 degrees, 160 degrees, something like that. Okay. All right, so now we can go and we can retorque this to 5.2. Right there. All right, so I got that all back, torqued to its proper value. Putting that washer back on, the rubber washer. Put this guy back on. Put this lock washer back on. Check it again. It's good. Pop this on. What I'll do is I'll put this back on, but I'm not going to torque it quite yet. I'll try and get the forks lined up as much as possible before I lock this down. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip in the forks. I've got them already cleaned, so I'm going to go ahead and just get these tucked up. And I get them just hand tight. Make sure you've got your going on the right side of all your cabling. Right there. I'm just going to hand tighten these. Perfect. They are exactly where they need to be. So again, I'm just going to hand tighten these guys up a little bit here, and then we will get the torque values and get this set. All right, so in terms of tightening down the pinch bolts on the forks, they recommend that you tighten the top bolt a little bit and the second bolt. Work your way through them. The top torque specs, I believe, is 17 foot-pounds, and the lower pinch bolts will be set at 15. Set the torque wrench to 17 foot-pounds. Just a little bit at a time. Seventeen. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to bore you with the details of putting this all back together. It's just basically the reverse procedure of taking it all apart. So from here, because I don't have the back wheel on right now, I'm not going to set the forks, but I will do that. I'm going to leave this loose right now. The lower pinch bolts are loose. This again is so that I can put the front axle, put the front wheel back on, and realign the forks by just doing compressions. That'll help line up the forks, and then I can button everything up, put the fender back on, the calipers, and take it from there. So I hope you got something out of this video. Again, learning this as I go. It's the first time I've done this, and again, it's pretty easy. It's just a matter of taking things slow and following the guidelines. So thanks for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to getting this back together because the weather is pretty nice. It's supposed to be, I think, 15 degrees on Saturday, and I'd love to go for a ride. We're getting some heavy rain right now too, washing away some of that salt. But we should have this back together in the next 24 hours. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.